Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Well, hello, and welcome to a brand new week of Student of the Gun Radio. I am your host, Paul Markle, and here's hoping that between the time that we record this and the time that it airs on Monday morning, that no more major news events will transpire, no social democrats will go ape crazy, or no religion of peace people will. Oh, nope, it's too late. As I was recording this, as we were setting up, we were getting ready to begin, and what happened? Well, we got a flash news report of a Johnny jihadists attacking a resort in the African country of Mali. Yep. People, they attacked a resort that was frequented by foreigners and Europeans and so on and so forth. So the summer of peace continues. Summer of peace continues. But don't sweat it, because I just saw in the news report that there are UN peacekeepers there. So all should be well very soon.
The only reason that they're called UN peacekeepers are because the powdered blue helmets make people want to sing Kumbaya.
Yeah. The UN peacekeepers are there, so don't sweat it. Everything will be great tomorrow. They'll fix everything, because that's what the UN does, right? Oh, that's right, they don't. Oh. Well, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope all of you dads out there had a wonderful weekend. I did. My children, save one who's still living in the South, were all around me. My surrogate daughter, my daughter-in-law to be, was here with my sons and my wife, and we went up into the mountains. Jared, is it colder in the mountains than it is in Saratoga? It is. It was very warm in Saratoga, and I was actually, before we left to go to the mountains, I was thinking, I sure wish I had a tank top. And then we got to the top of the mountain, and I was glad that I didn't take a tank top. Yeah, because it was 20 degrees colder. Yeah. It's amazing the 3,000 foot climate elevation change will do to you. Yeah. And it wasn't so much the cold, it was more the wind. Yeah, it was pretty windy up in the mountains, but it's like anything else. If you went into the areas where the trees were, there was less wind. But when you went all the way up on the top to the lookout, now this was the first time that Jared and Alex had ever been all the way to the top. They'd never been all the way through the snowy range. And what was interesting is that it was almost exactly 1 year ago today that Alex and I were in Tahoe. And no kidding. Tahoe is about 14,000 feet, I believe. It's that high? Yeah. And the lake? Lake Tahoe? No, not the lake, but where we were standing was that high at the top of the mountain. And it was not that cold. I remember I was wearing a tank top. But I came here and it was way more cold than it was. I was not ready for that. I just Googled Tahoe elevation, and it says 6225. Not at the top of the mountain. Oh, okay. The top of the mountain's like one of the highest or something like that. Tahoe highest peak. All right, here we go. Highest peak in Lake Tahoe. We'll use the Google machine, and the Google machine says Friel Peak is the highest peak in the Lake Tahoe Basin. Offers a spectacular view. That's where we were, I think. Monument Peak? I just know that we were looking over, like, the waterfall. We were looking over the waterfall, and we could see the lake. Okay. It offers a spectacular view of the Tahoe Basin with spectacular view above the tree line. And you want to know the elevation? How high? 10,891. No way. Yep. I swear we were somewhere that was 14, like 14. Yeah. You would have needed oxygen if you were at 14. Yeah. Huh. But anyway. Interesting. Yes.
I'm going to have to break Alex's heart.
So there you go. Well, I mean, I don't know, but according to Google, the highest peak in the Tahoe Basin is 10.89. And we were at 10.842 today.
Yeah.
So how do I know that? Because there's a sign. That's how I know. All right, before we get into today's Monday, and what do we do every single Monday, in addition to welcoming you, what we do is we do our SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week. But before we do that, Jared is going to remind you about the brand new number.
Text the word TRAIN, TRAIN, to 844-207-7684, and that will get you training notifications.
That's right. I'll get you on the list to get all the notifications about training. And we do still have slots open for September's precision rifle class. The July precision rifle class is completely filled up and it's closed, but we do have open enrollment for the September class, and you can go to studentofthegun.com, studentofthegungear.com. You can sign up there. All right. Now, Monday, just in case you're brand new, and I'll be benevolent, every Monday we do a SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week. And what you do is you call in to the Warrior of the Week number, 682-207-7684. And when you do that, you leave a well-thought-out question. And if we choose your question, we play it on the air, then you'll be the Warrior of the Week. You'll get a free bottle of 9mm plus P, and you get bragging rights with all your friends. But if you're not the winner, it's cool too, because you can still save money by going to SWATfuelstore.com and using the promo code SOTG2015.
Thank you, Markle family, for putting on a great show. Kenny Ortega from Texas, recently transplanted to Texas. My question is, now that I'm in Texas and I can keep a rifle in my vehicle, being a former police officer, I like the idea of a shotgun rack where it's secured in the car, so this way it doesn't fall into the wrong hands should someone break in. Do you know of anything like that that is made for an AR-15 style rifle that I can put in my truck? Thank you so much and appreciate your help. Bye.
Okay. Now, Jared, before I answer Kenny Ortega's question, do you want to remind him what he needs to do real quick, or do you want me to remind him, or someone can remind him? Or...
Well, let me turn my mic back on, and then
there you go.
I will remind Kenny what he needs to do. Email info@studentofthegun.com. That's info@studentofthegun.com. Send your name, mailing address, your phone number, and include your email address typed in the body.
There you go. Okay, keeping guns, long guns, short guns, any kind of guns in cars. Number one, I don't know where you live. There are very few places in America today that you can confidently leave guns exposed or viewable in your car and not have to worry about somebody breaking into it. Now, one of those places is here, Saratoga, Wyoming. People actually use shotgun racks. They use actual gun racks in their vehicles around here. When I was growing up in Ohio, every teenager, that's like the first, when you got a secondhand or a used truck when you were 16 or 17, the first thing you did was put a gun rack in it. Now, you don't see that much anymore, but if you live in an area where there's a more than average likelihood that the thugs or scumbags or thieves could look in your car and see a gun, and you say, well, yeah, but it's going to be locked in a rack, and it's an electric access rack or a key access rack. Yeah, but that's not going to make you feel any better when you have to replace your windows, because you say, all right, well, they didn't get it. Yeah, but they still busted your windows out, because most thugs aren't going to see a gun and think, oh, that's in a key lock like the police have, and so I won't be able to get it. No, they're just going to see it, bust the window, fart around trying to get it, and then run away and leave you with a bunch of broken glass. So I would not leave a gun, even though it seems like a good idea to have it secured, and it is a good idea to have it secured. I wouldn't put it anywhere where someone could just casually walk by, look inside, and see it. Like I said, unless you're blessed to live in free America, where the thug population is as close to nil as humanly possible. So where does that leave you? There's lots of other options, shall we say. I think, Jared? Brownells just partnered with a safe company, and they make not only home safes, but they make those like trunk boxes and truck boxes and so on, armored, secured, hidden boxes that you can put either in the bed of your car, you can put them in SUVs, you can put them under seats or what have you, and secure them like that. I have a good friend who has another show, and he has essentially a truck box armored safe that it looks like a regular console between the seats, but when you open it, it's actually a locked safe box. So those are other ways to go. And if you're going to, like I said, long gun, obviously a handgun should be on you all the time anyway. But if you're going to secure a long gun, if you're going to secure one of these really super compact rifle caliber pistols, what have you, then you're going to want to put it in some kind of a lockbox or a safe or what have you. And I wouldn't leave it. My advice to you is I wouldn't put it anywhere where someone can just look inside and see. Because even if they can't get to it, thugs aren't that smart. They're going to think they can. They're going to smash your window, and then you're going to get sick of replacing windows after a very short period of time. But did you find it, Jared?
I don't know what company they partnered with, but I am on brownells.com, and I searched gun safes, or you can just find it in the little menu thing there. I believe it's under accessories, shooting accessories, and then there's a gun safe section. And right now I'm looking at the site, and it says $10 off $99 plus free shipping. Free shipping on a safe is a huge deal.
Oh, it is a big deal.
Yeah, if you would like to get a safe, I would probably go get one before this promotion is over.
I think Hornady has a brand of safes. Now they sent us one of their digital or electronic safes that you can keep a gun in. And we talked about it. Now it's electronic, and you plug it in. It has a battery backup. That might be an option, but those are kind of small. I'm pretty sure that last time I was on, you guys do it yourself. Go to Brownells and just poke around and what have you. But I do know that they were advertising recently on their homepage that they had the truck vaults, and I know truck vault's probably a brand name, but these safes and what have you that you can put in your trucks and your SUVs and in the trunk of your car or wherever you want to put them, so that you can lock your guns up. So lock your guns up and make it so that the vermin can't see them. I guess that would be the lesson for today.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
That's right. Everything SOTG. And we truly appreciate you guys out there sharing the word. Jared, are you enjoying your coffee over there?
I am indeed enjoying my coffee. Thank you for the coffee.
Thank you to Maya over at Lollipops. I went over there I went over there late. It wasn't breakfast time. It was in the afternoon to get some coffee, and the coffee urns were about empty, and I asked her if she could go ahead and make us some fresh coffee because, quite frankly, I'm too old and life is too short to drink old, cold coffee. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. So thank you to Lollipops and Maya for making us. Are you digging it? That's what they call the French kiss. The dark roast. Is it? Yeah, yes, it's called good. French kiss.
If I ever go in there and there's 3 things of light roast again, Danielle.
Something going to happen.
Please don't do that.
Something bad going to happen. Don't ever do that again. All right, speaking of actually carrying the gun on your body, like I said to, Crossbreed Holsters is a great way to help you do that. I mean, if you buy the Super Tuck Deluxe and you break it in, somebody recently posted a comment. We had a picture of a couple of Crossbreed holsters, an inside the waistband Super Tuck and then an outside the waistband. And they said, "Oh, it looks like your holsters are worn out." No, the holsters weren't worn out. The holsters were broken in. There's, leather
Huge difference.
Yeah, the leather, it conforms to the pistol. And that's one of the things that's just so ridiculous. You like that, Jared? I paused, thought, and chose my words. There's a company out there that's trying to convince you, the customer, that it's a good idea to change out the plastic shell of your holster for a different type of gun while maintaining the same leather back. Now, one of two things has to happen if you do that. Number one, your leather back has to, if it's thin and crappy, or if it's not even leather, if it's like some kind of polymer or nylon or whatever, then I guess it doesn't matter. But if you have good leather in your holster, what will happen and what is supposed to happen is you're supposed to put the gun on, wear it, then the leather conforms to the gun and it makes it more comfortable and secure. But if you were to say, let's say today you're carrying a G-Lock 19 and you decide, ooh, I don't want to carry that anymore. I want to carry a SIG 226 because that's my new favorite thing. So I'm just going to buy a new shell for this holster and I'm going to put a 226 shell on the leather backing that had a G19 on it. It doesn't. First of all, these holsters aren't that expensive for you to go through all that like crazy machinations. Second of all, when you do something like that, what you have to do is instead of using the rivets that hold the shell in place tightly, you have to use screws. I don't know about you, but I don't want screw heads or screw bases poking against me when I've got a gun on in my pants. Here's the deal, folks. Just buy a good holster. Seriously. If there's anything that I can impart to you as a listener, if you're serious about being a gun carrier, serious. I mean, unless you're just doing it, like if you only put a gun on the day you're going to the gun show or the gun shop so you can show your friends, then I don't care. Buy whatever piece of crap you want to buy. But if you actually are serious about being armed all the time so that you have a gun when you need it, buy a quality product, spend the money, carry the gun, move on with your life.
And there's this other thing that when you buy the quality product, if you have a holster and a gun that you carry every day and you have not taken training with your carry gear, then you're wrong and you need to fix yourself. Yeah,
fix yourself too. But just do it, man. And you can go to crossbreedholsters.com and they can help you out. And let me tell you something. And not that you're going to, but everything you buy, whether it's a gun, a car, a motorcycle, a television, it's made by the hands of men. And sometimes it gets old or it gets worn out or it gets broken or whatever. You know who has probably some of the best customer? I don't know if they have the absolute best customer service in the holster business, but I'm going to say that they're right up there, top 5%. Crossbreed. Am I lying or am I dying? All of you guys out there, you testify. If you've ever contacted them, they're some of the nicest people you'll ever talk to. They have fantastic customer service. And
we know you've contacted them.
We know.
We know.
Yeah. That's right. So just check those guys out. All right, Frog Lube, it's green, it's minty fresh, and guess what? It works. Yeah, it just works. Let me give you a little experience. I posted a picture on my own personal Instagrammage here recently. That 22 Nosler rifle that I've been messing with, when I first got it, I disassembled it. I took the bolt apart. I squirted it down with the solvent because I wanted to make sure that any kind of oil or whatever that they put on from the manufacturer wasn't there anymore. So I squirted it down with the solvent, wiped it down till it was dry. Then I put Frog Lube Extreme. I put Extreme on there. I can't hit the Extreme too hard because Jared gets annoyed with me because my bar goes up into the red. But I put the Frog Lube Extreme on it. And then I went out, I zeroed the gun, then I took it to the field, and I killed with it. Yeah, I killed with it. And then I went back to the range, and I zeroed it for a different load because I had 55 grain, 62 grain, 77 grain loads. So I tweaked it. I put a side-mounted optic. I'm going to do a whole review for you guys. But point is this. I had about between 200 and 300 rounds through it, right? I guess around close to 300 rounds. And disassembled it, took a rag, wiped the carbon off of the pin, wiped the carbon off of the bolt, put it back together, put a little bit more on, drove on. So there you go. How many of you guys shoot AR-15s? You're like, ooh, Mr. Carter, I do. How many of you go and you do a day's worth of training or what have you, or you do a month's worth of shooting, and then you decide to take it apart, and the carbon is so baked on so hard on your parts that you're taking the bronze or brass brushes and you're scraping and scraping and scraping, trying to get it off. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Where can you get frog lube? Well, you can get it from your favorite retailer. You get it from Brownells. You get it from froglube.com. Get it wherever you want. I don't care. Drive on. Century Arms, the sweetest smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A. Yeah. Yes, indeed. You know what? I was mistaken, Jared. I'm going to correct my mistake right now. I cleaned 2 guns this weekend. One of the ones that I cleaned, the one that I took apart and I wiped with the rag, it was the Gray Sabbath pistol. I forgot. Saturday night, I went into the garage and I took apart a bunch of guns and cleaned them and frog lubed them. And it was the Gray Sabbath gun. Because I was telling the story. I was like, I mean, I frog lubed them all, but the Gray Sabbath gun, I put the frog lube on that too. And if you want to see me shooting the Gray Sabbath gun, you can go to our Facebook page or Instagram page. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it works on all of them. But and I was thinking about the Century guns this weekend that we shot. I actually shot my TP9 SA. Yes, indeed. We went to the range. Zach and I went to the range. I shot a pistol, and I shot the other pistol, the AR-15 pistol. And oh yeah, I touched it to my shoulder. Oh yeah, I did it. There's proof. I'm on the radar now. You know that, Jared. Now I'm on the radar. You're on the radar now. There's proof that you touched it to your shoulder. Oh, people, I don't know. Well, speaking of Gray Sabbath, Century Arms, you can get from centuryarms.com, or you can get it from your favorite retailer, do all your research, do your stuff. Sweetest smelling arms maker in USA. Oh, yeah, the Gray Sabbath gun, in case you're new, you're like, what's this guy talking about, Gray Sabbath? Duracoat has a line of powdered metal finishes. They actually have powdered metal in them. And what they decided, they call them their heavy metal, right? They're metal, Durametal. And so they came up with all kinds of cool names like Bronzy Osborne and Gray Sabbath, and I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head right now. There's a copper one, and Alice Copper. Anyway, the pistol that I did, the AR-15 pistol, was the first one I ever did with any of the Durametal. And if you guys see it, it's the Gray Sabbath pistol. It's got a barking spider on it and the spikes, black spider optic, and all that good jazz. So we posted pictures and videos and all that jazz. Duracoat, we can get Duracoat because, well, life's too short to have an ugly gun, man. It is. Life is too short. So go to brownells.com. You can buy it from there. LauerWeaponry.com. You can buy it from Walmart.com. Did you know that? That's crazy talk. Get it wherever you want. I don't care. All right, that's it. Now, folks, I'm trying not to overuse this tone, but I think it's important that we use it today. So stand by, perk up your ears. That is the hurt feelings alert, which means that you need to stand by because your feelings could be hurt by anything I say after that tone. Now, if you're afraid of having your feelings hurt, go away now. Just turn this off. Go put on an NPR show or something. I don't care. Because what I'm about to say may not be what you want to hear, but it's what needs to be said. And there may be some feelings hurt. But after we play the hurt feelings alert tone, you don't get to write me. You can do it if you want, but I'm going to ignore them. If you write after and say, Paul hurt my feelings and he said mean stuff and I didn't like it and it wounded my inner child. If I wound your inner child, don't write me. I told you. You were warned, freak. So there you go. How do we fix problems? How do we cure diseases? How do we address an issue that needs to be corrected? Well, the first step, no problem can be fixed and no disease can be cured until you identify the issue. All right. I mean, am I right? I think I'm right. For instance, when you go to the doctor, and you say, I'm not feeling good. Does the doctor say, oh, you're not feeling good? Here, take this. Does he do that? Does he just like hand you a generic bottle of a magic elixir to fix yourself? Well, you're like, no, that would be stupid, right? Because the first thing you got to figure out is, because I don't feel good isn't a specific problem. What does he do? Well, he starts doing all kinds of other stuff, right? Takes your temperature, listens to your heart, does your blood pressure, looks in your ears, looks in your nose and your mouth, and he asks you questions like, all right, where does it hurt? It hurts there. Okay, is it a dull, achy pain, or is it a sharp, stabbing pain? Okay. And then they continue. And then once they've narrowed it down some more, let's say he says, okay, in this region, we have a sharp, stabbing pain. Okay, good. Now I know where to focus on. Now we'll do x-rays, we'll do blood work. And why do we do all that stuff? We do all that stuff so that we can identify the very, very specific cause of the problem, right? We have to identify the issue before we can fix it. And this is important because right now in the United States of America, this isn't really new, but we have a chronic disease, and that chronic disease is liberalism, it's progressivism, it's socialism, whatever you want to call it. It's basically, it's a totalitarianism. And part of that problem is there's an organization, there's a group, there are people that are aligned together to try and disassemble the representative republic that is the United States of America. And these people don't always agree with each other, but they're aligned in their cause. That is, they don't like the restrictions that are put on them by the Constitution. They don't like the restrictions that are put on the state, because the state is there to make everything okay, to make things fair, to give them free stuff, to give them authority over their fellow man. Because how does one person gain authority over their neighbors? What do you mean, Paul, gain authority? My neighbors, they don't want to gain authority over me. Au contraire. Do you know any anti-smoking Nazis? I don't mean people who have chosen themselves not to smoke. I'm talking about people who literally get up every day and it makes them angry that someone in the world is lighting a cigarette. That person could be 10 miles away, but they hate it. They hate the fact that someone in America could smoke a cigarette because it's wrong and it's bad and it's evil and no one should be allowed to do it. And you say, well, okay, logically, just if you don't like smoking, don't go to bars, don't go to places where people smoke, and don't smoke. No, that's not good enough. Now, these people that I'm talking about here, how can a person who hates smoking and they hate cigarettes and they hate tobacco and they hate that it exists, how can they impose their will on everyone else and make everyone else not able to do that? Well, they can't, right? But who can? The state can. The government can. We can pass laws and restrictions and so on and so forth, and we can make the government so powerful that no one will ever be allowed to do what? That thing that I don't think people should do. And it's not just smoking. It's every other social cause, whether it's environmentalism or whether it's feminism or, whatever it is. Your neighbor, your coworker, or what have you, they can't force you. And it makes them mad that they can't force you to think like they do. But here's what they can do. they can support politicians who promise, if you vote for me, I'll pass laws and I'll make everything right. I'll make sure that everyone is equal and that no one can do anything that you don't like. We'll save the earth. You know what we call these people in America? We call them Democrats. Yes. Whether you call them social Democrats, progressive Democrats, whatever. The fact of the matter is they're liberal fascists. And this is where the butthurt comes in. Because people who don't understand history or the use of the language don't even know what a fascist is. People think fascism started in Nazi Germany and the government and Hitler and Nazis are fascist. Yeah, you could say that, but there was somebody who was actually applying fascism before the Nazi Party. It was going on in Italy. There was this little guy named Benito Mussolini. Do you know that? And it was Benito Mussolini. Jared, if I say Mussolini, do you think good guy or bad guy?
Bad guy.
Did you learn anything about Benito Mussolini when you were in school?
A very little bit. Most of the stuff that I know is from personal research.
Right. I bet you that 99% of the people who are under age 20 listening don't even know who Benito Mussolini is. And I bet you most people under age 30 are like, well, wasn't he the guy in Italy? And he was like aligned with, I bet they don't even know he was aligned with Hitler. He was part of the Axis power. Folks, then we go into, no, fascists are Nazis and Nazis are fascists and Republicans are all Nazi fascists. And then we have to go ahead and introduce people to history. Jared, do you think that might be why the leftist progressive socialists want to destroy history? Is because history doesn't agree with them? NAZI is an abbreviation. It's an acronym. You know, an acronym is actually an abbreviation that sounded out as a word. But NAZI is short for the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Now, saying National Socialist German Workers' Party over and over again would be kind of redundant, right? And what do humans do? Humans, they take sentences and words and they shorten them down and they come up with acronyms because they're easy to say. The Nazi Party was a party of socialists. Yes. Like, they're fascists and blah. Yeah, they may have been fascist. They were socialist. They weren't conservative Republicans, okay? They weren't constitutionalists. The Nazis were socialist. They were liberal fascists. Yes, they were. In the United States of America today, we have a situation where we've got a whole lot of denial going on. And you already read many, well, I don't know, Jared, what do you think the chances are that people actually read the title of the episodes before they listen to them, or you think a lot of people just listen to them reflexively? I think a lot of people just have it on their app and they just hit play every morning. They don't necessarily read it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's something interesting. What do you guys think? But I'm going to tell you this. I know that there may be some people who are listening to me who are registered Democrats. I'm sure that they're few and far between, and some of them may be listening to me to try and catch me saying something that I shouldn't say. And you're wasting your time because there is absolutely nothing that I shouldn't say. There are only things that I choose not to say. The Democrat Party that you envision it, I'm going to go ahead and go on record here saying that the Democrat Party of the United States of America has been the home of the American socialist and the liberal fascist, actually of the progressive movement, all the way back to Woodrow Wilson. Now, Woodrow Wilson was president in the teens. So we're talking about 100 years. Now, if you want to cut him some slack and say, that's not true, and then you could go all the way up to the FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and FDR was a progressive who thought that the central government was supposed to make everything right and fair and fix everything in America, and the more power you give the central federal government, the better the country will be. He was a progressive. He was a socialist. He was not a constitutionalist. We are still trying to, I almost said unfornicate, Jared. We're still trying to fix many of the problems that FDR put in place. The socialist programs, the liberal Democrat programs that FDR put in. Then we had another hardcore socialist progressive push in the United States under the Johnson administration. So let's just go to the Johnson administration. Johnson administration, Great Society, all that jazz, 50 plus years ago. So, being fair to you, because I know you want me to be fair, because that's what progressives and liberals and Democrats are all about. They're about fairness. It has been at least 50 years, and let's be honest, it's been 100, but I'll give you 50. It's been 50 years in the United States since the capital D, the Democrat Party, stood for the Constitution, since it stood for a representative republic, since it stood for limited government with individual liberty for the people. People today who support Democrats or Democrat Party or what have you, modern Democrats are either liberal fascists, social progressives, communists, who are seeking to strip people of their individual liberty and create a dominant state or totalitarian government, or they're woefully naive and, quite frankly, useful idiots. And I know this is going to hurt. This is why I played the hurt feelings alert, because you're like, hey, man, my some people in my family, coworkers, my dad, my mom, and that's I understand that. I perfectly understand that there are some people in your family like, my dad was a union member, he was an electrical union member, or he was an auto union member, and he voted Democrat his whole life. And my dad wasn't a socialist. My dad wasn't a fascist or a communist. My dad was an American. He's a hard-working American. Okay, that's great. And that's fantastic. I'm sure your dad was a hardworking American. But here's the fact of the matter. All of your dad's union dues were used as a slush fund for the Social Democrat Party and also for the mafia, but we don't want to hurt your feelings and point out the truth. And the fact of the matter is, all of your dad's union dues were used to support liberal, Democrat, progressive candidates. It's a fact. I'm sorry. Hurt your feelings. Makes you feel bad. Look across the United States of America at the party leadership for the Social Democrat Progressive Party in the United States. And judge them not by their covers, but by their fruit. I think that we were told that we should judge people not by what they look like, but by, or the words they even say, but by the fruit that they produce. That a bad tree cannot produce good fruit, and a good tree cannot produce bad fruit. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi still thinks that George Bush is president, apparently. And did you see that she gave a speech, Jared, on Friday about how upset she was over the death of Representative Scalise? He was
no.
Yeah, he wasn't dead on Friday. I don't think he's dead now, but she was very upset over that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then she gave a speech where she was railing against George Bush, who hasn't been the president for like 9 years or so. Whew. That's your leadership. Your Chuck Schumer, your Bill Clinton, your Hillary Clinton, your Comrade Barry Hussein Soetoro. Yes, Barry Soetoro, the leader of the Socialist Democrat Party, the Progressive Democrats, who was mentored by a convicted terrorist whose political career was launched in the living room of a convicted terrorist. Now, a convicted terrorist who was a progressive liberal Democrat, a liberal fascist. And see, in the United States of America, if you're a terrorist, but you're a progressive, if you're a Democrat, if you're a liberal fascist, you get to get pardoned, go on, and become a college professor. Now, if you had an R behind your name, or if you're a Republican or from the South, you would probably get a life sentence and never again see the light of day. But that's not how it works in America today. Folks, I'm sorry to tell you this, and it may hurt some of your feelings, but we have to deal with facts. And the fact is that the Democrat Party of the United States of America, Democrats, whether they are Democrat supporters, Democrat politicians, I'm being very careful to keep this family friendly, Jared. I'm taking the time to choose my words. Democrats today in 2017 are the direct enemy of the United States of America. I'm going to say it again, just in case any of you puke bag, scumbag people out there who are trying to catch me saying something I shouldn't say. In the year 2017, registered Democrats and Democrat politicians are the enemy, they are the enemies of the United States of America. But the caveat to that is they're only the enemies of the United States of America if you believe in the founding. If you believe that the United States of America was founded as a representative republic and that the Constitution guarantees limited central federal authority. Not unlimited and broad, but limited. If you believe that the United States of America was supposed to be a conglomeration of individual states that ruled themselves, and that the federal government's only job was to, execute the duties that were very specifically spelled out in the Constitution, that they couldn't just grant themselves extra constitutional authority. If you believe that, then Democrats are the enemy of the United States of America today. I challenge you to show me any form of Democrat leadership. You're like, but my buddy, my cousin, my dad, my mom, they're Democrats and they don't believe in that. They believe in America, in the Constitution. Then they fall into the woefully naive and useful idiot category. That's mean. Yeah, it probably hurt your feelings, but it's a fact. The matter is, it's true. You know, not everybody who was a member of the Nazi Party in Germany rounded Jews up, put them on trains, and sent them to concentration camps. A lot of people who were card-carrying Nazi Party members never did anything mean or bad to anyone. They were faithful German citizens. But who did they throw their support behind? And, the Nazi thing is really super easy. It's almost intellectually lazy. Go to any totalitarian regime. People who lived in the USSR, the average member of the Communist Party of the, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, they weren't the Stasi, where they weren't the KGB, they weren't death squads, they weren't pulling people, the GRU, they weren't going to people's houses at midnight, putting them on a truck and sending them to Siberia, executing them. How many did Stalin kill? 20 million plus of his own people? They weren't part of the death squads. They were just citizens. But who did they support? You can't support an organization that openly calls for the destruction of the constitutional republic of the United States and run for cover and say you're a good person. You cannot give your money, time, and support to a group, to an organization that wants to destroy the founding of this nation and rebuild it as a socialist dictatorship and say, you're a nice guy. You can't wrap yourself in the flag, call yourself a patriot, and support the Democrat Party. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to do that. And I'm not going to let you get away with it. Now I've got some articles here if you want to, and obviously we all know, I'm not even going to beat the drum, that the attacker, the baseball field attacker, was a hardcore socialist Democrat. Hardcore. But you're like, wow, that's just one single. Except that it's not. We got a story all the way back to 2014 from Joe for America. And the title of the story is, Why Are All Mass Murderers Democrats? I don't know, but here's the list of people who were social democrats anti-America. Nidal Hassan, Fort Hood shooter. Aaron Alexei, Nidal Hassan, registered Democrat Muslim. Aaron Alexei, Navy Yard shooter. Black liberal Obama supporter. Yes. Sung Hoi Choi, Virginia Tech shooter. Wrote hate mail to President Bush and his staff, was a registered Democrat. James Holmes, the Dark Knight, Colorado shooter, registered Democrat, staff worker on the Obama campaign and Occupy Wall Street guy. Progressive liberal, hated Christians. Amy Bishop, you're like, who's Amy Bishop? The rabid leftist, she killed her colleagues in Alabama. She was an Obama supporter. Andrew Slack flew a plane into the IRS building in Texas, was a leftist Democrat. James Lee Woods, a green activist, took hostages at the Discovery Channel. You probably don't even remember that. There's been so many. Jared Loeffner, the Tucson shooter, the one who gave us Gabby Giffords as some kind of a hero, was a Marxist, a leftist. The Ohio bomb plot, Occupy Wall Street members. Harris and Klebold from Columbine, their families were all Democrat and heavily progressive. Bill Ayers. Who was Bill Ayers? Who's Bill Ayers? I never heard of him. That's Comrade Barry's. That's his mentor. He was a member of the Weather Underground, a left-wing progressive socialist terrorist organization. Yeah. Lee Harvey Oswald was a socialist, a communist, and a Democrat. You're like, oh, well, that's just a small thing. Got another story, a little more recent. It says firearms-related homicides, and this isn't just mass shootings, this is everything in the United States. Registered Democrats versus registered Republicans, and all the way across the board. And this information comes from, does it come from it's a government organization. I'm opening it up here. I'm scrolling.
The U.S. Department of Justice homicide report.
There we go. Thank you for coming. And it turns out that of all the murders committed in the United States of America, that 68% were committed by registered Democrats versus Republicans. I believe that's the number. Yep. So 68% of all firearms-related murders in the year 2014 were committed by registered Democrats. Interesting. But it's the NRA and conservatives and Southern Christians and conservative Christians, they're the problem. I'm going to tell you one more thing, and I'm going to let you go. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know why the rabid Democrats, these psychos, that every time a Republican gets elected or every time something, they're like, it's Republicans hate people and Republicans this, Republicans that, and so on and so forth. And every time we find out, every time there's going to be concealed carry legislation or a right to carry or constitutional carry, and who is it that's always screaming about there'll be blood in the streets and there'll be shootings over parking spaces and all that? Who is it that's always screaming about that? Is it Republicans? No, it's Democrats. Remember in Hawaii? Remember the prediction in Hawaii about if they allow people to have guns, there'll be blood in the streets. Why do they say that? Do you remember that whole conversation we had about mirror thinking, about how people think that everyone else thinks like them? The reason that social democrats, that they run to the microphones and scream about the potential of blood in the streets, who is it that was rioting, burning down businesses, looting, and after the Trump election? Was it? You remember when Comrade Barry Soetoro got elected and conservative Christians went out and burned down their cities and turned over cars and
we used the voting process to
created an Antifa, and went out and wore masks and beat people up in the streets. You remember that? That's because it didn't happen.
So I want to give you guys all the sources that were used in this to pull the information, and it was CDC, Wisher's website, the U.S. Department of Justice homicide report, and then also a study to find political affiliation from Cornell University.
And, of course, the links are in the show notes. And today is 610. Yes, sir. If I can leave you with anything, it's this. Democrats, we have to, what did I say at the very beginning? No problem can be fixed, no disease can be cured until we identify the issue, till we determine what the problem is. And the problem in the United States of America is that the Democrat Party is now the home of liberal fascists, and it has been for at least 50 years. And that is the problem. And I hate to break your heart, but saying we're all Americans and we all love each other, that's not going to work. Didn't work in Germany, didn't work in Russia, didn't work in Italy, didn't work in Cambodia, didn't work in... We're all Americans and we love each other. No, some people don't love you. Some people want to destroy your country and rebuild it as something you wouldn't recognize. And those people are Democrats. And the sooner that we accept that, the sooner we can get about to fixing this representative republic with a limited central federal government we can have. So, all right, I'll be back tomorrow. Man, we went long today. Zach is going to be not happy with me. You're like, why would Zach be not happy with you?
Why is that?
Zach's got to do after we're done. Zach's got to do all kinds of things.
Right,
All right. So gun games can kill you, and I'm going to tell you why tomorrow on Student of the Gun Radio. Until then, remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.